Iain, you've spent most of your political career in sort of supporting people who are probably have got the least, whether that's through the Centre for Social Justice or whether that's through Universal Credit, the new system that you brought in and oversaw. Is this now, in these times of sort of a cost of living crisis, people will call it, is this going to be the enabler that is going to support people?
Well, like everything else, governments exist to make sure that people can get on with their lives, that they don't face unexpected crises. And of course, the cost of living is driven mostly from outside of the UK, such as fuel shortages because of the war in Ukraine, gas supplies being cut, Europe in desperate situation. And also because of the demand outstripping supply as a result of what was really, in my view, a too deep and too long lockdown that has created that problem. So these things are things which each individual country have to deal with, but they are global. The bit that really has not helped us earlier on was the Bank of England's failure to understand early on what those pressures were. And actually, it ended up a year ago pumping much more money into the economy through what's called quantitative easing. And all that did was raise asset prices and make it much more difficult for the people on lower income to actually gain any assets because the costs went spiraling. And that has fueled domestic inflation, no question. The Treasury signed off on that huge splurge of quantitative easing a year ago, which they shouldn't have done. So we are where we are now, and we're having to deal with that process to try and bring it back under control. So all of that is part of the equation, bringing inflation back under control, but getting the economy growing. If we don't get the economy growing, if we don't get those tax reductions, then you can kiss goodbye to any debate about whether or not we can supply people with money for the cost of living, because the economy will be crashing, revenues will crash.
Will Liz Truss then,
so that's the key thing.
Following on from what you're saying there, Iain, will Liz Truss reform the Bank of England?
Well, she definitely wants people to look at it. This is not an attack on the idea of independence, but I think it's genuine that mistakes have been made. I saw somebody the other day say, I think somebody in the Rishi's camp saying, oh, it's all right, they've averaged 2%. Well, actually, hold on a second. The reason why the bank averaged their 2% target was because China was growing dramatically at that same period, which actually helped keep those prices down. Now, the key thing here is we're beyond that. China is well below 5% growth, which is what they need to stand still. And the rest of the world is still searching for how they meet this demand with supply of various products. So there are real key issues, the war in Ukraine. So all I say now, we need to be much better judges of when to act and when not to act. And I think it's necessary to look at that. That's not the key area for her. The big area for her is to get what is essentially the highest base of tax that we've faced for literally a generation, to start getting that down. That is very much what Conservatives believe in. We believe that if you can't tax your way to growth.